Hi, I'm Peter Grodi, and this is the Faith of Our Flyers. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Faith of Our Flyers. I'm Peter Grodi, your friendly neighborhood seminarian. Before we get started today, I just want to talk about an event that's coming up in a couple weeks. 3 weeks. 2 weeks? 3 weeks. January 28th, after the 5 o'clock Mass, we're going to have a special adoration night. This is not your normal adoration night, because this is a praise and worship adoration night. We're inviting a lot of students from nearby churches and the deanery, if you know what the deanery is. There's lots of different Catholic churches. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of students there, and I really want you all to come. I'm looking forward to having a bunch of you students there and adults too. It's open to everybody. Put together an all-star quality band for this event. We're really going to work hard to make this an uplifting, invigorating, and just moving prayer time for everybody. I'll talk more about this in the next couple weeks, but until then, I got something I want you to do. Okay, so in the description below for this video, the first thing that's there is a link. Now this link will take you to a playlist of videos. It's on the Faith of Our Flyers channel, but it's a playlist of videos of songs that we're going to be trying to play at this event. So it's a great opportunity. I really want you to get used to the songs, just to start hearing them so that you kind of know what you're singing when you get there. Incredible music, really great music. I know that you'll enjoy it. So please, if for nothing else, do it for me. Listen to that music, and I really want you to come in a couple weeks to this, but I'll talk more about that later. So I'm sure you've heard about the fact that the March for Life is occurring here in about a week and a half. It's occurring on the Friday. I think it's January 19th maybe. It's occurring on that Friday in Washington, D.C. If you've been living under a rock, or you just got back from a 40-year flight to Mars and you don't know what the March for Life is, well, I'll tell you. It's a gathering of people from all around the United States, and probably outside the United States too, to protest the laws in this country that allow for us to abort preborn children from the womb. A march has been held every year for 40 years, with an incredible number of people coming each year. And the largest ones have been in the hundreds of thousands. I even heard 300,000 was one of the numbers I heard. Each year, like the media, they always try to play it down like it's not a very big event, as if like there's only a few people come. One of the more hilarious instances of this is like the New York Times, when they reported on it a couple years ago. They said hundreds of people gathered in downtown DC, blah, 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 blah. Hundreds of people. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's like talking about Ohio State game and saying literally dozens of people attended to watch Ohio State play. It's ridiculous. Anyway, when I was a kid, going to the march was like a staple for me and my friends every year. Of course, at the time, we saw it more as an opportunity like to stay up all night and to just drink copious amounts of Mountain Dew and get into all kind of crazy adventures. But we did believe in our work. That really was a part of it. Probably won't be staying up all night, and I'll probably be leaving the Mountain Dew behind this time. I know, total party pooper. But it seems like an inevitable part of life that if you go out seeking adventures, you're probably going to get more than you bargained for. I remember one year, I think I was 13 years old. Our group had the practice of, when we started the march, everybody just kind of went their own way, and then we planned to meet up again at the end. We'd always be in pairs. We have like a buddy system. And between the two of you, you would have one map. And at the end of the march, you'd all try to meet back up at a certain place that was marked on the map. Yeah, foolproof plan, especially for a bunch of, barely teenage kids. So anyway, the march starts at the Washington Monument and ends at the Capitol. It's about 1.5 miles long. I was paired up with my best friend Tommy, who was responsible for about 90% of the trouble I got into as a kid. And sure enough, after about halfway through the march, we start off normally. I'm sitting there, we're taking a break, and I get distracted by something, and when I turn around, Tommy's gone. Just completely left. I was kind of mad at him for a little bit for abandoning me, but and I wasn't really that worried, but I did get a little bit worried when I realized that he had the map, and I had no idea where to go. But I figured, it'll be fine, right? I'm sure I'll see somebody I know by the end of the march. You can probably see where this is going. So we're all headed the same direction, all headed to the Washington Monument. And then when we get there, I still haven't found anybody that I know yet. And as soon as we get there, everyone disperses. It's like it just ends and everyone goes their separate ways. And all of a sudden, I'm left there with no idea of what to do or where to go. I remembered from the year before that the place that we were supposed to meet at was a little church that was like stuck in between two houses. I mean, you could barely notice it. And, mind you, this is at a time when it wasn't very common for kids my age to have a cell phone. And so I didn't have one. I went to a nearby restaurant and I tried to call my dad on the phone they had there, and I couldn't get him to pick up. So I'm sitting there, I'm just like, what am I going to do? And all I could think about was the fact that there was pizza waiting for me back at the church. And I really wanted that pizza. I hadn't eaten in like half the day. I decided, with my brilliant 13-year-old mind, that the best thing that I could do was to wander back and forth between the Washington Monument and the Capitol, about 1.5 miles, mind you, wander back and forth on a different street each time, hoping that somehow I would be able to find this church that I was supposed to meet everybody at. I figured that if I did it long enough, I would find something that looked familiar, right? Eventually, right? Right! I had no notion of how big DC was. I mean, if you have any idea how big DC is, you realize how stupid it is for a 13-year-old kid to wander back and forth hoping to find one place that looks familiar, back and forth on dark streets as the sun goes farther and farther down. I mean, this is one of those things where you look back and all you can do is just thank God that you're still alive. For 3 hours, I walked. I just hoping to find something. I mean, I wasn't really worried at the time, but that was mostly because I was still pretty naive. The most significant thing on my mind was that pizza that was waiting back for me. I probably should have been more worried about like getting mugged or anything, but thank God I didn't get mugged. It was probably lucky that my sense of style at the time was weird, to say the least. I probably kind of looked like a homeless person and didn't have anything worth stealing. I remember I had like this ripped, like torn green overcoat on that I'd gotten from Goodwill, went down to like my calves. I was wearing a satchel from an old like army surplus store, so that thing was all ripped up. And I had this multicolored scarf around my neck that we were all supposed to be wearing from our group to help, identify each other in this huge crowd. Fat lot of good that did me. At one point, this homeless guy approached me, and he said, "Hey man, I like your scarf. It reminds me of the 70s, which I sort of understood. I may have laughed or something a little, and then I just kind of kept walking and hoped that he wouldn't follow me. So I was finally getting to the point that I was actually kind of worried that the bus was going to leave without me because it'd been 3 hours. I was wandering through this huge park for probably like the 7th time when somebody shouts my name in the distance, and I turn and I see this guy running towards me. I recognize him. He's one of the guys from my group. I was like, oh, thank goodness. So he comes up, he says they've been looking for me. When they realized that I was missing, they sent out runners to the city instead of, like calling the cops or something. They just sent out kids to run around the city and look for me. Once again, I look back and thank God that we're all still alive. I mean, I guess I'm glad now that, like they didn't call the cops or panic, but I mean, seriously? Anyway, he brought me back to the church. My older brother was there. He was simultaneously like super angry at me and also really relieved to find me there. All I could think about was that hot, cheesy pizza getting in my stomach. The hot, cheesy pizza that they had forgotten to save. They didn't save any pizza for the lost, starving 13-year-old kid. Anyway, everyone boarded the bus basically as soon as I got back. And let's just say I was a little frosty on the way home because of the pizza. Don't worry, I made up for it in Mountain Dew. Anyway, it's a little scary to look back on, but it does make a halfway decent story. So if you aren't able to come to the march with us this year, I understand there's a lot going on and you can't always get out of everything. However, there is something that you can still do for the cause. Because 2 days after the March for Life, on January 21st, there is going to be a Walk for Life here in Norwalk, where you can still stand up and support that cause and support the pro-life cause. We'll meet at the St. Paul Convocation Center at 2:40. You'll see me there, probably, sleep-deprived, baggy-eyed, bloodshot eyes, all that stuff. I'll be there. And I think I'll be doing the opening prayer or something. So there's an opportunity for you to do your part. If you, for some reason, can't make it to that, well, gosh darn it, you better pray for us, okay? At the very least, pray that I don't get lost again. And if any of you people who are coming with us even think about getting lost, well, Okay, well, that's all we have for today. Until next week, God bless you, and we'll see you at Mass.